back to another episode of Popcorn Heroes. With me as always, with me, we got Armando.
What up, Miami? What's going on? I'm Armando. Here I am.
Nice. Back for the first time, Mike.
And what's up to anybody, wherever you're listening from, not only Miami, what up?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Back for the first time, Mike.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. That's what we're talking about. And
Here
the
we
white
go.
guy, Pedro.
Whoa.
the only white guy here.
Nah,
That's
just
racist.
kidding.
What That's racist.
So, you usually discuss movies, reviews, and TV shows. Sometimes we get off topic, and today is going to be one that we get off topic. So we're going to be talking about essentially the death of George Floyd, the protests, Black Lives Matter movement, and everything that's been going on since then. So yeah, I know this is probably like a intense conversation to have, or something that we usually don't do, but I think with everything going on and people being more vocal, and since we have a small audience, very small, but I think there are people out there who don't know us like personally, so I guess it'd be good to share our thoughts with them and have that discord with them and that dialogue. I remember, I think Pedro, you looked it up one time. We had a listener from like a different country or something one time, or was it Amanda? I'm not sure which one. But nonetheless, there are people there are people who don't know our views, who don't know us personally, and I guess it'd be good. This is a good time to get to know us and get to know where we stand on certain issues and certain topics. Not that we always have to do these things, but when it's important, I feel like maybe we should speak out about them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump into it. I know it's a tough topic to talk about. I know these last couple of days have been really intense, basically kind of seeing like the world on fire through all this, and we've had a sense of protesting and people unifying together. So yeah, it all started on May 25th when George Floyd lost his life. He died in Minnesota, Minneapolis, from police officers that were pretty much charging him with counterfeiting a check. And
I think it was a $20 bill that he paid.
Yeah, it was $20.
Oh, cash. Okay, yeah.
Counterfeit cash.
Counterfeit. And then they found out it wasn't counterfeit. They had, I guess, they pretty much pinned him down, and a cop had his knee on his neck, and he
for over 8 minutes.
8 minutes and 36 seconds, I believe.
46 seconds.
46
Damn,
seconds.
didn't get the story right.
All right, I'm sorry, my bad.
Mike did the moment of silence. That's why he knows.
And since then there has been sadly George lost his life, and since then there has been a uproar of different voices, different talking heads, and just people rioting for this cause of let's not kill defenseless black men anymore.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back, pretty much.
Yeah. And so how are you guys feeling about all this? Like, what's going through your minds? What is Mike, what you got something to say?
I was actually going to ask you two guys, since both of you are black. How does it feel
Both
for it
of
to be
us.
2020? That's one of the things. That's one of the things I will defend Orlando for sure. That he's
Orlando's
black,
black.
dude. He goes through the same shit that you
Yeah.
gotta go through.
Mike,
too.
First off,
Mike,
you
at the
have
end
to
of the day,
be black to defend someone else's
Mike,
blackness.
at the end of the day, you and I, Mike, are both Afro-Caribbean. All right, you have your culture isn't tied to African American culture, so you are a Caribbean black man. So am I. So what separates us?
Everything.
Man, I don't want to get into this topic of blackness. You guys are black. Let's get over it.
Yeah.
Mike, talk about what your feelings and how you feel.
Yeah, the question I was pretty much going to say, how does it feel for it to be 2020? You still have to essentially fight for your right to live. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, it is crazy that we still have to go through that, but I think you kind of get numb to it after a while. It's only I mean, you see it more, you realize it more when you see like all these videos or just all these issues of black people consistently being murdered, being attacked, just being mistreated just because of the way they look. What about the other black person? Air quotes for the listeners.
Yeah, no, it is definitely painful to see that, especially like, you know, it's different in the sense of like, I can only imagine the fact that like I think African Americans definitely have a different lens on it, because not only are they experiencing it now, but their dad experienced it, their grandmother experienced it. Like, you know, like they hear generations of stories. Like me being Caribbean, like black, you know, me being Afro-Cuban, whatever. There's a different story of like America's our savior. Like America saved us. Like Pedro, you're Cuban, so you know, like this was a place where basically like we ran to, and like that pretty much gave us our freedom. Mm-hmm. And it's a different lens when you look at it like that, because to an African American person, it's like, nah, you stole us and you continue to oppress us. So it's definitely sad, man. It's definitely it's definitely sad seeing people go through this, like go through the pain. And I can only imagine hearing the same stories over and over, and you get numb to it. I can only imagine like it's painful. Like it's sad in the sense of like it could happen to me, it could happen to Mike, it could happen to anyone that looks like us, and like that's scary. And I'll say this, like before I was aware of all this, like at least aware of like that this was an issue, because I guess back then I was kind of more naive, and I say back then like 10 years ago, like my early 20s, my teenage years, I was kind of naive to the issues. And back then I used to have confrontation with cops, and I would literally have arguments with them. Like I would literally like talk back to them. Like if I see a cop now, like I'm terrified. Like I'm always kind of like just wondering like what's happening. I had to look, you know, like I went to put gas today, and I immediately recognized where the cop was at. Like where I was at in terms of like position to the cops. Like it's something that like unnaturally, like I'm always thinking like where is the danger? And before I didn't really have that. And it's all about a narrative. It's all about like, you know, it's weird because like I remember like I was just listening to someone, but like there's like I think it's like racism didn't change. We just have cameras now. Right. Like, there's a quote like that.
Agreed. It's just that's what Will Smith said. He's like just being caught on camera now. Yeah, filmed.
Yeah, and it's definitely crazy because like back like, you could turn an eye to racism when it's not being filmed, but every day we're seeing something. Like every week we're seeing something, and like it's now more than ever. Like I'm scared, dude. Like I get scared of like just like having that fear of like where like the other day I had I was in IKEA and somebody waved me down to park, but I was in the wrong. They separate their parking lot now by pickup and in store. So I was in the pickup area and didn't know. And this guy's waving me down, but I thought he was waving me like to go around him. But he works there, so I thought he was just kind of like just showing me like where the parking lot is. So I go, and then like he keeps waving, and then when I keep going, he stops me, and he's just like, "Oh, like you should have just stopped." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you kept waving," and he's just like, "Oh, well, you should." And he was like going back and forth. And I'm like, "All right, what do you want to tell me?" But it was like this anger that he had that I was just like, "Yo, like what?" And not that like that was something like a racial thing. It was just like a thing of like.
So it was a white guy, I'm guessing.
It was a white guy, but it was just like why are you so upset? And also like. It's just one thing that I was aware of. Like, I don't understand why you're so upset about this. Can we just move past it? And you could just do your job and I'll, like, leave. Like, and it was one of those things where, like, it was just really weird. Like, a weird altercation. And it was, like, just one of those things where, like, it might not have been nothing. But with the climate that everything is, it just feels like something, you know? It could have been a regular, like, I'm just upset and I'm venting my frustration on this customer. You know what happens? But with the climate and everything, it's just, like... This is uncomfortable. Like you're yelling at me, and I'm uncomfortable. Like that's what I mean. Like the fact that a white guy is angry and he's yelling at me makes me uncomfortable. You know, because like, oh shit, is this gonna be something? Like, let me like, and I told him, I was like, hey, like, I told him like, what do you want to tell me? And then he's like, oh, just this is not where you need to be. I'm like, okay, I'll go somewhere else. You know, like that's it. But those interactions are more heightened nowadays, and it's sad.
Yeah. It's definitely, yeah. It's crazy how I remember we did an episode somewhere similar about Black Lives Matter years ago. I can't even remember if it was the Trayvon case or something, but I remember we talked about this, and we had the whole Black Lives Matter and all it, just everything, like all the protesting. It was all the same thing, but now it's just
magnified.
I guess it is crazy. I don't know if it's social media or if it's the quarantine or if it's just everything combined to create like a perfect storm of just like everyone feeling oppressed or everyone feeling like pushed down, that it just erupted, and it's crazy. And I'm just looking at it now, and then at least what I'm thinking, I'm just thinking like about damn time, because now it feels like people are getting heard, because now the celebrities are jumping on the bandwagon, you know, the news is covering it, so it feels like it's getting more eyes and ears on it. So yeah, there's people that are just saying it just to say it. There's the fucking cops that are kneeling even though they're throwing the fucking white supremacy shit. Like there's a lot of fake bullshit, but at least it's still getting heard. So I just like the coverage that it's getting compared to the previous times, the constant fucking killings, and the way the media just goes up and they brush it off.
Exactly.
So I mean, they could still brush it off now, but I don't feel it's going to go away. Yeah.
It's just too much. Like you said, it's way too much attention. Too many people are in the streets. I mean, there have been riots before, but I don't know if there are more riots now. If it's just more consistent. Like, what was it? I think there's the biggest protest in history at this point.
This one, it is.
Yeah, with all 50 states are participating, and I want to say last time I checked, it was like 18 countries participating in one protest. So it is the biggest. It's the biggest protest like in history.
You have people in Syria fighting a war and they're protesting. They're just like, yeah, like this will work it right quick. Let me tell you why Black Lives Matter. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's just something that makes sense, because usually, you know, you hear the protest by it's usually about like the nation's government or something like that. But this is something. It's just an injustice of racism. So it just feels like a lot of like a bunch of countries can jump on it, and it just like everyone can be sympathetic to that. And it's not just it's only a U.S. problem. Like everyone can see it. Okay, it's a problem here as well. So yeah, it's just crazy. To add that on top of everything that's happening this year, it's a hell of a year so far, man.
It is.
Yeah,
but I think it's also, I mean, have you guys actually seen the video?
Yeah.
Which one?
The George Floyd video. I think
I didn't watch all of it. I only watched the excerpt of where he already where they put the knee down and then everyone's yelling about it.
Yeah,
afterwards.
that part.
But I didn't see the arrest part before that. No.
No, I mean, I've only watched part of the officer being on his knee. I honestly couldn't watch the entire video because it's like you're just watching him kill someone for no reason. But I think I don't think maybe I haven't seen all of the different videos of us being murdered, but I think just the video, as raw as it was, and just watching someone be helpless on the floor as all the officers stand around and like bystanders are saying, hey, he can't breathe, hey, help him, hey, do something, anything, and nothing's happening. I think all of that also adds a lot to it.
It definitely added that it was just a slow, excruciating, you're just like, come on, like, because all the other ones I feel that have been videotaped, they're so quick. Like the jogger, Ahmad, it was just like, what? It was just as shocking because even I'm like, yo, I just saw someone get killed in front of their fucking truck. Like, but it was so quick that you don't have a chance to really like feel like you're in that moment. Yeah. And definitely with the George Floyd one, everyone was just like, someone just fucking jump in there or tackle the guy or something, you know.
Do anything, help him, something. Yeah.
Like even the lady, I forgot where I read this from, but even the lady that filmed it, she got so much shit, like death threats and everything because she didn't do anything. She just filmed it. So like, it's just so much shit going on. So much passions are high, man. She would have been shot if she would have tried something.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
she
would
like
have
had somebody
mentality.
on her neck too.
Yeah, it's her mentality because
sure.
you see, it's kind of like her mentality because you see no one jumping in. So you're like, obviously you know it's not safe for you to jump in because there's 3 other cops there, so you know it's not safe to jump in.
Fear
So,
of the blue, like the fear that you had in the gas station. I mean, come on, it's
yeah, exactly. It's just one of those things where like it's kind of sad, man, because like honestly, like it's weird that we tell like society tells civilians like don't panic, like don't resist, but when you're losing your life, like I can't think of anything else but to resist. Like when even if like that, like he was kind of like dismobilized and he couldn't breathe, like but if someone's pinning me down and I have a fear of like I think I would go, like I feel like I will like squirm like a worm because like I feel like I need to, else I like flight or fight kick in and I feel like oh no, I need to get out of here. So
and he wasn't a healthy guy. Like in the autopsy, they said that he was still recovering from COVID and everything, and that just further like you're there to protect and serve, and you couldn't find another way to.
The worst part of it all is like he was already in handcuffs and he was down, so there was no need for you to put your knee on his neck. It was an excessive use of force. Yeah, you're surrounded by like where's he gonna go? And even if he ran, you have 4 officers and a whole entire police force that could have caught him easily.
Yeah,
for counterfeit money, $20. It's not that serious.
$20 he died for.
But the thing is that like the excessive force, you already have him down. You could have just left him down, and you didn't have to be on top of him. You could have the same thing how everybody was standing around. You could have been standing over him and making sure he didn't run. Like you didn't have to put your knee in his neck like that. That's an excessive use of force that there was no point for doing it. Honestly, there was no point. Yeah, but regardless of his history, like there was literally no point for you to do that.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, that what, and the thing is he I think they like said the $20 bill was real. I think they said it wasn't counterfeit. But regardless, it's a weird thing. It might have been.
Regardless. Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing where they do it a lot, where they criminalize like black people so that they can make it okay that they died.
Exactly.
Like my God, they do the smear campaign every single time. Right. Even the photos they pick.
And it's every time. It's like I can't talk fully on this matter. Like maybe Mike, you might know a bit more about it, but I was watching a little bit of a documentary about Mike Brown, and who died in Ferguson, and by a cop, and they painted him as a drug dealer, and I only saw the end of it, and I remember he had like an altercation with the cops, like he had like a tussle or so, but I think at the moment of the shooting, like his hands were up and he was like not fighting it, and then he got shot. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't really remember for sure. But at the end of the day, like,
yeah, he had his hands up and he had said, "Don't shoot," and he got shot.
Yeah, and so they victimize him. I mean, not victimize, villainize him in terms of like, oh yeah, he was a drug dealer and stuff like that. Like, I honestly think like if you're not hurting someone, or you're like you as a cop are safe, like someone doesn't need to die regardless of skin color. Honestly, like I think honestly, if like my past shouldn't automatically exempt me from living. Like it shouldn't be a pass for me to like a gateway ticket to death. Like that's crazy. Like there's no sense of mercy or no sense of empathy. It really is just like to justify the fact that someone is dead, and they do that a lot with black people. They find a photo, or they judge Trayvon for wearing a hoodie, and it's just like hoodies who like the fucking Gap sells hoodies, like you know,
who doesn't wear hoodies?
It's all the
everybody wears hoodies.
Like everyone wears a hoodie,
and then it became a symbol after that.
And so like it's crazy where like they find something to latch on to say like this person didn't deserve to live, but like Jesus Christ, like life is so precious that like I can't imagine just trying to it's like I'm picking like excuses out of a hat and being like, oh, he didn't wish his mom happy birthday. Like what? Like I don't understand. Like yeah
that's definitely what it is. It's they fucked up, and then they try to spin the media and then the world against it. They just find any way, like, oh, go look up a mugshot, or go look up this and that. Oh yeah, we need to look like the good guys here.
Yeah, it's
We
very
need to show that he was resisting, that we didn't overreact.
right. And
That's what it is. It's all a fucking game.
And it's very weird though, because like I think at the end of the day though, like we're not nobody. Everyone's multifaceted. Like we're not our mistakes, or we're not our past, or we're not this one incident. Like drug dealing or not, or criminal or not. Like there's so much. Like at the end of the day, that person is a brother or a father or a son, or he might show compassion to somebody else. Like like they're just not this one entity, and it's so weird that like they paint him as like this one thing, like as if there's no other like it's kind of like that movie with like John Q with Denzel Washington, I think.
That's the one where his kid needs to get an operation,
right?
Is that the one you're talking
about? Yeah,
about?
where like he like busts in and he's like, yo, like I'm gonna pretty much hold this place hostage, fix my kid. And like, yeah, you're a criminal and you literally are assaulting people, but this is not all that you are. Like you're also a person with compassion and like love, and it's kind of like that. Like you can't just look at it through one lens of like that, like that, I mean,
that is the rational and fair way of looking at things, but we don't. 9 times out of 10, we're not getting the rational or fair treatment.
No. And the biggest thing always, well, amongst the many things, is the way the police are trained. That there was this, I'm trying to remember how the sign was. I read that sign during one of the protests, and it really resonated. That it's like, why do we with no training need to stay calm and composed while the police that have all the training can do whatever they want, not stay calm and composed, and then they don't get the consequences. So it's just like, it's just reversed there. Like there's something clearly broken there. When I read that, I was like, yeah. And then that's why I'm totally down with everyone wanting them to defund the police and fund things that need to be like different training, like de-escalation training. They're only, my wife was just reading it to me. The amount of hours that they get with that training compared to everything else is like nothing. It's like you get 3 hours of that and you get like 50 hours of everything else. It's like, why would you do that? Like your job is to do that, to de-escalate situations, not to pull your fucking gun and feel like you're playing a Call of Duty game and killing people or whatever. So it's just there's definitely a lot of things involved, and I know that was one of the big issues that they booed the mayor of Minnesota. Did you see that video?
No,
I didn't see the video, but I heard about it.
Yeah, pretty much they put him on the spot and they asked him, would you defund the police, or would you I forgot how they worded it, and then he went no, and then they booed his ass out of there. The whole mayor, they kicked him out of the rally completely.
Yeah, but they've apparently changed their mind about that, because they've announced that they're going to defund the police, right?
Yeah,
defund or disband?
I think it was disband.
That's what I'm curious about. Oh, you're right. I was reading that. They said that they abolished it, but they said they're going to create something. Obviously, they're going to create something else. It's not going to be the fucking Wild West out there.
Yeah.
But they're going to create something else, I guess, with the right form of training in their eyes. Yeah, I forgot that they did agree on that part.
I was reading a little more into that, because there are places that have like shut down their police stations before. I want to say there's a city in New Jersey that had did it, and their crime rate's gone down. They haven't like completely abolished, but their police system was so corrupt that they just had to start fresh. But they have different kinds of training. Like when you become a new rookie on the force, you have to meet people in the neighborhood that you're going to be policing. You have to go like door to door and introduce yourselves.
That's actually genius, because then you build up the compassion off of
exactly.
That. So that's genius.
Exactly.
Right there.
Most cops work in neighborhoods they don't live in, policing people they don't know or care about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, because when I first heard they want to abolish, I'm like, that's not going to make any sense.
Yeah.
People are going to like start being vigilantes and like killing whoever they want. But of course, the way media works, they just do that and they don't tell you the second part of the
clips,
plan.
man. They take the clips.
They spin it away. So I started reading a little bit more into it, and now that Mike just brought up that example, now I want to read more about it. Now I'm very curious.
Yeah, see, stuff like that makes why. It's like, why isn't that a normal thing for officers to meet the people in the neighborhood they're in? That doesn't even make any sense. Why all police stations don't do it?
Because they don't give a shit. Unfortunately,
I think I've rarely been in a situation in or around cops where I've actively seen them work to de-escalate the situation. They might start out calm and just trying to figure out what happens, but especially in the instant they feel like you're not like being like a dog, like completely obedient, then all hell is gonna break loose. I think personally, like I was taught to fear cops since I was a child. Before I even really knew what the police were or whatever, my parents just always taught me that, as you know, looking the way you look, fucking with cops is never going to end well for you. So that fear has just always been in me. And even like trying to be fearful and respectful, that still doesn't guarantee that you're going to be saved. Like I want to say the first time like a cop pointed a gun at me, I was like 11. I was in middle school the first time a cop pointed a gun at me. And I just fit how do you fit a description as an 11-year-old? To this day I'll never know. But it's just been shit like that. Shit like that my entire life. So how I don't understand how most people don't have those experiences or talk to people that have those experiences, but I don't understand how it gets to this point with police with no change, and even after all these murders nothing happens.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's how it all started, right? The whole point of Black Lives Matter was because I think it was the Ferguson one where he shot the guy. The cop shot the guy, and
was it Ferguson? It might have been.
Yeah. It's part. It was
been a while for
either that one or
now.
before that one, and the movement started because Black Lives Matter. Essentially, the people in power weren't doing anything about the people who shot, like cops who shot this guy. They didn't arrest him. They weren't pressing charges. They weren't doing anything. They didn't suspend him. They didn't do shit. So people went out into the streets and they say Black Lives Matter because you're not doing anything for this guy.
It actually started because of Trayvon, and then right after that they used it for Ferguson. But they used it. I guess Ferguson is when it blew up bigger, but Trayvon is when it started.
Yeah, the Ferguson one was just blew it up, instantaneously. And then because it was following, they did protest for the Trayvon one. Yeah. But the thing is that I think the Ferguson one just kind of blew up that whole thing because again, this happened again, and they didn't do shit about it. Because if you think about it, even the Trayvon Martin one, he didn't get arrested until like a month or so after he shot Trayvon or some shit like that.
It's always the pressure. Yeah, it's always the media pressure of like everyone.
Yeah, the
like,
protests and all that
protesting,
shit. So,
the riots. It unfortunately is what it's needed to get shit done. Like
yeah,
it shouldn't
but
that's what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's called the movement was started at Black Lives Matter because you weren't doing anything about this black guy who got shot. His life mattered. Like you should take things into consideration and do something about it. Essentially, and then it just. After every single time it's happened, it keeps happening. Like the movement keeps happening, and I think now I feel it is the strongest it has been since that point in time. Again, like you said, it's probably the perfect storm of everything. But I feel at this point in time it's everyone's involved. Mm-hmm. Everyone believes in it, right? Because before
Not
people
everyone.
were just like
I feel
of
like
course, there's not going to be always, but the thing is that it was same thing. MLK was doing his stuff. No one, all the terrible people didn't believe in his cause. But I think at this point in time, I feel there's a lot of more people into the cause, are believing in it, and essentially we have to hold these police people, the police accountable. And the worst part of it all is that nobody holds police accountable. There have so many protections for them that there's nothing that holds them accountable, and even people within the force don't hold other people in the force accountable. And this guy who killed George Floyd, he what is that called when people put what's the name of that shit called? They he was like, I don't know if it was written up or complaints. He had like 15 complaints on him.
Exactly.
And it's like how does someone have that many complaints on their job and still have a fucking job? Like if any of us in our job has 15 complaints, we would have never gotten to 15.
Yeah,
we would have gotten to like
working,
3
working
2.
a desk, filing fucking papers at the least.
But no, not even that. Like if you're shitty at your job, you shouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
So like if that happens to anybody in the regular world and people have complained about you X amount of times,
your customers, the people you're serving, keep complaining.
Yeah, you would have been fired.
Yeah.
Simple
A
as
long
that. You would have
time
been
ago.
fired, and nothing would have been like no one would have cared. But at this point, like he had 15 complaints, and he was never fired for it. He was never suspended. And I'm just kind of like, how does someone get that far, get that many complaints, and shit has happened to you? Like,
Yeah.
how is that possible?
It could be
and
honestly.
anywhere else, something would have happened to you.
I think also what
And
has
yet,
to,
as a cop, it doesn't.
I think a
come
lot
on,
of it
man.
has to do to like the police union. The police union protects cops.
Oh man, police
So-
unions are super very protective over the cops.
So they protect cops and they funnel back all that money into legislative for cops and like making sure that they protect their union workers. It's crazy. Like you're right.
It's the biggest gang in America, man.
Absolutely.
I don't even think fire departments have unions, right?
I think
It's
they
just-
probably do.
I'm
But
gonna look it up.
But it's a weird thing where like we're having this discussion now of like good cops, bad cops, and it's honestly like a moot point. Like if you're a cop and you're seeing this like go by and like doing nothing about it, then you're part of the problem. Like,
Right.
or if you're not a
Agreed.
cop.
You're part of a broken system.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
and at the end of the day, like how can you be part? I understand, like obviously, like the police force is a it's a job that was created years ago, and obviously it's tied to like slave catchers and stuff like that. But you have something here that has a really tainted history and has been constantly in place to keep pretty much the status quo. And so like the fact that you're joining it, it's just like you have to be aware of that. Like you have to be aware that like this is a broken system. You're aligning yourself with bad cops, good cops. You have to be aware that you're gonna not to lump you in, but you gotta take the criticism now. Like I think a lot of cops are right now trying to defend the fact like, hey, no, I love my community. I wouldn't do this. I'm not racist. But I think that the time isn't to like argue. I think it's right now time to listen. Like
To fix.
yeah, like you're part of
What
a
are you gonna do about it?
like you're not
yeah,
racist.
You're not bad, but what are you gonna do about it?
Exactly. Like you're not racist, but fine. Like how many times did you hear a story that a cop did something bad and you didn't like say, yo, like what the fuck, Jim or something? Like
Yeah.
how many times did you like get on a car with your partner and like they did some shit that's fucked up? Like you're part of a system that protects you, and you have to make sure that you hold others accountable. And like
I mean, I don't think they look, at least most cops, I don't think they look at it that way, because I feel like it's on the low end of the spectrum that you'll find people who want to become cops to protect and serve. I feel like for the most part, it's because they pay decent and they have good benefits.
I think that I think agreed. I think that's where the argument about defunding the police, like if you defunded the police, who's gonna want to be a cop? Because at the end of the day, being a cop is not an easy job. Like that's just that you're putting your life at risk for sure. You're gonna get into crazy situations, 100%. So you defund the police, then does it really encourage anyone to continue being a cop? Like, and at the end of the day, I do believe we need policing, but we do
Defunding, though, it doesn't mean specifically that you're going to pay the cops less. Just they have less money to do. Like cops don't need tanks. They don't need all of these assault weapons.
They don't need military.
They don't need to be militarized to be effective. If they're only using that on regular ass people. So why do you need the tank for?
Yeah. So the whole point of militarizing the police, the idea was because you stopped what is that called when people kill the mass stuff?
A mass shooting?
Yeah, the mass shootings. So the whole point of doing that was to limit mass shootings, but I mean they haven't done that
but
either.
obviously
So
that hasn't worked.
It's like that. Yeah, it hasn't worked because the reaction time of a cop reacting to a mass shooting that's happening is very little. It's a lot. It's not little. So your whole military outfit is not helping anybody in that mass shooting. Because at the end, once you get there, the person kills himself. So you're not helping out anything, Like, I definitely they need I think a better name instead of calling it defunding, because I think defunding people see it as something else. I
They
think
see it as dismantling. When you say defunding,
yeah,
think,
I think
"Alright,
they
you're
should
just-
focus
police gonna be gone."
more. I think they should focus more on demilitarizing the police. I think
Demilitarizing and retraining for sure.
and
The biggest-
retraining. Because I mean, in the end, you still have to have the funds to train these motherfuckers, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
So at some the defunding, I think is the bad word because I don't even think it's the right word to use because people are the optics. You know, again, it comes down to optics, right? People are going to see it the negative way, and I think that hurts the cause more than it helps it. So I honestly feel it's like demilitarizing the police because they've been militarizing for the last 10, 15 years. Because back in when we were little, that shit didn't happen.
Yeah, they didn't
Cops
have all
didn't
this
have those
bullshit, and
tanks.
I'll
They
still
didn't have
get
all
my
that
ass
shit.
whooped.
Yeah, I do feel that like they should have body armor and maybe a like a rifle in the trunk of the cars. But apart from that, they don't need anything else. You know, they don't need the tanks. They don't need all this other bullshit they have. Like there's no point of all that stuff to happen.
Yeah, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on shit that they
But
really
and it's military
don't need to
gear,
have.
dude. It's straight up military gear.
Right.
Like why do you need military
it's like,
gear?
It's like, what's the point of the National Guard if you got all this shit already?
Yeah. So why do we have a National Guard exactly? Like if you need a military response,
fucking
call
town.
military.
Yeah, every fucking town has their own National Guard, and you're like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are you coming in with tanks to a peaceful protest?
So what do you guys think
Yeah.
about them sending in the military? Do you guys think that that's a good call? Supposedly, like there was a poll out, and I think like 58 Americans said like that was a good send the military is a good call.
58%.
It was a high percent, like over 50. Like you guys, I mean, look
I'm
it up.
not
I
surprised.
forgot. Yeah.
Look,
Most of the
man.
country is racist.
It comes down to the cops not dealing with it effectively. So it got out of their hands and they had to call in the military. So that's how fucking terrible they are that they can't even handle their own shit, even though they're militarized. In the they can't handle fucking people rioting. So it's
So it further
begin
proves
with-
that it's bullshit.
yeah, they're bullshit. So you gotta think about it like this, right? People who are protesting, there's a lot of bad shit happening, right, around the protest. So it's not necessarily the protesters who are doing anything, right? It's most likely people who are instigating the riots.
Anarchists.
It's most likely the anarchists who are doing that, or even the police themselves who are instigating the riots in order
Right.
to, decredit the the protesting, right?
Yeah.
Or what was it, like setting up the bricks, all that stuff.
Is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Is that?
so-
Do you think that's a video thing? Because that seems so, like, I
Yeah.
don't know, that you think that's
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that
for
shit
real
definitely
because it's for real because they did it in China. In China, they did the same thing, and you know what the Chinese did? They fucking glued the brick to the floor so that the cop cars couldn't drive through the street. So they turned it against them. So instead of them feeding into it and destroying shit, they were like, "All right, fuck you, come get us." Now you can't. So
Yeah, it's a real
it's
thing.
true.
Yeah.
It's just like a tactic that's used.
Yeah.
for sure.
That's
I
insane.
believe it.
Cause I saw this other thing where it's called kettling, where they were trying to like move the protesters in a certain way, so then that way they end up in like closed off alleys.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
heard
another
that
one. Yeah,
It makes sense, but I haven't heard of
It's
that.
like they pretty much they put like
I've read something
barricades
about that.
and it's like hurdling, like basically like cow hurdling, and you just kind of lead them to like a nowhere. So then they have no choice but to stay there, and it's like a melting pot of people, and then you attack.
yeah.
Didn't that
And then
didn't
it gets
something
frustrating.
similar? Yeah,
Huh?
didn't that happen in Washington D.C. when Trump was gonna go do his photo shoot and the guy had to open up his house? Did you hear about that?
Yeah. To like
What?
The guy had to open.
to a bunch of I don't remember how
Yeah.
I can't remember the number, but it was a bunch of protesters.
He said 78 people. He had to fit 78 people into his house because there was no way out. They were all like crushed into a corner.
Yeah.
And he opened up the door and went in and he closed it because the cop isn't allowed in your home by that point.
that
Yeah.
I'd seen the video, but
Wait,
yeah,
what?
there was a shitload of people in this house.
Yeah, so there were the protests that were happening, the peaceful protests that were happening in front of the White House.
Yeah,
And then Trump wanted to do a photo shoot at the church right across the street.
I remember that. Okay.
So one of the guys had his door open when all of this was going on, and when they started getting rid of the protesters forcibly, they all started running and scattering everywhere, tear gas and all that. So the guy opened up his doors and started letting as many people as he could in, and then he closed the door. And then the media said that I forgot how they worded it, but they pretty much said that they forcibly went into his house and were like messing his shit up. So they had to record the guy saying, "No, I let you guys in." Like the owner of the house was saying, "No, that's not true. They're in here because I'm saving them." Like, you know,
That's
everyone's
crazy.
in the bathroom washing shit out of their eyes. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's
So now that you mentioned the hurdling or whatever, that's what that reminded me of.
yeah, that's insane. Like, I don't, man, it's like the protesting have gotten pretty crazy. There's been a total of
What are you gonna do? The amount of people?
yeah, there's been a total of
They
Shit,
can't
I
track
don't
the
even-
amount of people.
21 people have
What-
died during the protest.
Oh,
18
I
people
thought you were
have,
gonna say the amount.
no, 20 people have died during the protest. 18 people were from gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
A total
That's
crazy.
of I believe a total of like 11,000 people have been arrested.
There you go. I was gonna say, where's the arrest rate? Because that must be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Which is where
And-
which is where all the bail funds keep coming in, where everyone's
Yeah.
donating to. It's like, get them out of here, get
Yeah.
them out.
so the thing with the bail funds is just like I kind of agree with it because at the end of the day, like the system is so fucked up, dude. If you get arrested, especially now, I can only imagine like when your court date is due,
Exactly.
and when you're arrested, like you stay there until your court date is due, and then you have to wait. Like even if you're not guilty, you still
Yeah.
have to wait to jail.
Yep.
And like I remember listening to a podcast and they were kind of like,
And the bail is like historically like set higher for black people. So it's just like, you really don't want us to get out. Or-
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shit like-
And I remember listening to a podcast and they were kind of like criticizing like paying for bail because like obviously these people might have like looted or been part of the riot but at the end of the day, like there are also many people that got mixed in the bunch and like you just got arrested, get arrested, and at the end of the day, like it's not like bailing them out is gonna exempt them from like them going to court. They still need to go to court. They still need to follow
Yeah.
sadly our shitty broken justice system, and it just buys them time, dude. Like I don't know, I'm all for that. Fucking bail them out and let them live their life because like 11,000 people are in jail right now. Do you know how long like my brother was arrested? It took him months, I mean months, to get to his court date. Like 5 or 6 months. Like do you imagine what that is to you? Like you're not even like, this is like at the end of the day, like jail is not prison. So like you're in here with these people and then you still don't know the fate, your fate, and you might be moved to a prison. Like that's insane.
And from my understanding, jail is the first step. Jail is like shitty. Like you can't get shit there. Prison, as far as I know, is like the more funded place where you get your food, you get your everything. And from what I hear, prison is just like they just fucking throw you in there and you just gotta wait it out.
right.
I hear that's just chaos.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine.
But yeah, man, it's insane. I really just like, yeah, I feel for that. Like I when it comes to like the violence and stuff with the protesting and stuff like that, like yeah, I've done like 3 protests back in the day, and this is definitely one I would have done, but I'm kind of like waiting out for COVID, honestly, because
Yeah.
like it's kind of like the world forgot it was a thing.
And I started looking at the numbers yesterday, and there's a huge surge in. I only looked at Florida. There's a huge surge in Florida, and I'm like, well, that's definitely part of it.
It could
I'm
be,
sure.
or it could be
So-
Memorial Weekend. It could be the Memorial Weekend that we're seeing the surge from. But it was definitely something where I'm just like, you know what? Like, this is still a thing. I live still at home. I have grandparents, like, stuff like that. Like, so yeah, so like I didn't participate. But I know a lot of people.
Yeah,
that-
but you could still, but there's still. I know there's a lot of people like you. There's plenty of ways to still help out the cause. So
Oh, right, donating and stuff like that, of course. But yeah, definitely, like, when it comes to all this stuff, like the looting, the rioting, it's just like when it comes to rioting, bro, I kind of get it, man. Like, you're upset. Like, I think Trevor Noah had the best way. Like, he was saying that basically, like, in America, we kind of like have like this social contract to live as good citizens. But America has literally like broken that contract for black people constantly. They literally like said, nah, for you it's not a thing. And so then like you want people to be civil, you want us to be civil during this time when you never been civil. Like, oh, don't break shit, be nice, oh, have peaceful protests, but you haven't. We're still fighting for civil rights technically.
Exactly. We've been peacefully protesting, and that changed shit.
Yeah, that was one of the big things where people are like, "Oh, but do you believe in the violence?" And I'm like, "Bro, when Kaepernick was fucking kneeling, that's a peaceful protest." And what did you guys say? Call him un-American. Protesting is the most American thing you can fucking do. So it's just, oh, you didn't listen to that, but you're listening to this now. It's unfortunate that this is what it takes. Yeah, it's just the sad reality.
And what it comes down to is the police are not protecting the protesters. The police are fighting against the protesters. Exactly. So that's the biggest issue. I'm like, if you think about it, when the team wins a championship, right? Either the Super Bowl, the NBA, the MLB, whatever, and people go out into the streets and people are happy and they're going crazy. The police are not doing anything. The police are just there making sure nothing goes crazy, right? That's the whole purpose of the police. The police is just to stay there and maintain peacefulness, right? Make sure nobody does stupid shit. And when that happens, hundreds of people go out in the streets. If you think about it, last time the Heat won the championship, the entire downtown was packed.
Streets
Little Havana was packed, Hialeah was packed. Every major street in Miami was packed, and the police were there just chilling, making sure nobody did anything stupid. So when it comes to protesting, why can't they do the same?
It's because it's not directed towards them. That's what it is. They're getting scared.
Again, but that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what they're protesting about. You just need to protect the protesters and make sure they're allowed to protest and make sure nobody fucks with them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the whole point as a police you need to do. You don't need to put barricades up. You don't need to do all this stupid shit. Your job is to make sure nobody breaks into stores and make sure that the protesters are protected.
Right.
But yet they don't do that. They start putting barricades up. They start, corralling them and stuff like that. I'm just like, this is excessive. Like, why are you doing all this? If these people are just here chanting and doing and holding up signs and saying all this shit, then you don't need to do all that. It's just excessive. It's a show of force that you don't need to show that force.
But it's who the people are and what the people represent that they don't agree with. So what the fuck do I need to protest you on?
Yeah, and what they're protesting. Yeah, so it's kind of like all
shit.
The other protests, police don't do shit. Police just hang out and chill. They don't put up barricades. They don't do anything. Right. But as soon as this happens, they start doing those things and start going out in riot gear.
You had fucking white guys in government buildings with fucking automatic weapons. Nothing. Not a thing happened.
It's like, Second Amendment. Oh, we got to protect that. Oh, First Amendment? Get the fuck out of the street.
Fuck that First Amendment.
So it's excessive, right? It's all this stupid shit. Like, we pay the police for you to make sure there's peace, not for you to incite violence.
Right.
So
exactly.
It just sucks, man. And again, it comes down to training and the people at top who don't know what the fuck they're doing, and this brotherhood that nobody says shit about, and then holding police accountable for those certain things that they do.
And the racism is still embedded into the system.
Do you think there are people at the top who don't know what they're doing?
Fuck
you think they have no
idiots.
idea? Nah, man. They know exactly what they're doing.
I'm talking about in the sense of like doing their job better. They're fucking idiots. But when it comes down to
your idea of doing their job better and their idea of doing their job better are two completely different things, though.
It's true.
That's true.
People matter more when you're looking at it through your lens. When you're looking at it through their lens, everyone's a number, and every individual person has a value, and it's pretty much how to maximize the value of a given person versus a given situation. The people aren't really that important.
But the thing is also is that, like, you're right, because at the end of the day, like, I think a lot of that comes down to when you hear politicians talk or whatever, they talk about stats a lot. Like, oh, I did this for this school and the stat went down this much and yada yada. I think a lot of it, though, has to do with keeping the status quo, because a lot of times, like, the only person that leaves office is the president. That's the only person that says, all right, I did my 8 years, I'm out. Everybody else is in there. Like, they're senators,
until they get out.
They're mayors for years. So
mayors, I think, are the same thing. They're 8 years, and then after that you have to wait 15 years to try again, something like that.
Oh, okay. But almost everybody else.
But again, it's a family thing. Like, I say all four of us are our family,
Right.
And I'm, the grandpa, and then Pedro's next, and then Orlando's next, and then and then Mike's next, and then I go back again.
Right.
It's,
but you
it's
get what I'm
just a
saying though.
family
Like,
thing.
like
it
the
happens.
president doesn't go anywhere. Like the president doesn't go back to office. He doesn't. He's not a senator
No,
anymore.
he will never go back. That's it. You're 8 years in, and you're forever done.
You don't really work on bills anymore. You kind of just vocalize your opinion, but you kind of just chill for the rest of your life.
Straight up, yeah.
From what it looks like. And so like I think that's a problem, because like if you have people that literally do their job and they're only based the only incentive is to do better is because like polling numbers or the fact that they might not get reelected, like everyone, all they do is try to push a narrative or push something just for the next reelection. Like the
Especially
way
now.
Definitely.
and I think
Definitely.
Since it's an election year.
and I think presidents at the end of the day, they kind of have a different way of thinking, because I think at the end of the day, when you're a president, you have an ego. Like that's just like there's no one runs for the biggest, most competitive race of all time and not have a certain like ego about them of like I'm the shit. Like I need like everyone in that fucking platform. And so you don't want to go into office and then leave like losing in terms of like what you've done. And so it's a different mindset. Like every president has you can think about the last like 5 or 6 presidents. They literally have something they champion or something that they can say, oh, I'm proud of this. Like, oh, I fought the Iraq war, or Obama's like, I've saved the recession. Like Bill Clinton, like I had a good like economic growth. Like every president, at least in our time, has something that they're proud of, because they're like, I only have 8 years. And every other politician is just like, nah, like I don't give a shit about what the fuck is going on. I only care about getting reelected, keeping the status quo, moving up to governor or moving up to senator, and that's it. And they just keep doing that over and over and over.
It's also because of the spotlight. They don't have the spotlight on them.
They don't, yeah.
Like you look at a president for 8 years and you're like, what did they do? So that's why they get that you're talking about. But yeah, local elections, it's not like, what did the mayor do? I don't know. You fucking, I don't know.
It's like what I've always said, man. The least important voting time is the president. That's the least important in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The most important one is your local elections. And you know what your local election is? Is either it most likely happens in the midterm elections, and no one goes out for midterm elections.
And a lot of them are happening right now.
And keep this in mind, especially black people. And I bet, Mike, when's the last time you voted?
I want to say this year for the primaries.
Obama? The primaries?
No,
man, what the fuck?
I thought the last time you voted was Obama.
Nah, who was the... no, I voted for fucking... What this dumbass bitch I voted for? Hillary.
So,
Jesus.
predominantly speaking, though, black people don't vote, though.
No,
I'm pretty sure you know a lot of black people who don't vote.
Most people I know don't vote, but I mean,
and that's a problem.
I actually think it also has to do. I also think it has to do with age group as well.
That's the next one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Young people don't vote either, so that's a huge problem, though.
But I think
you want change, you want things to happen. You have to go out there and vote for those local elections. I don't give a fuck about the president. You got to go out there and vote for your senators. You got to go vote for your House of Representatives.
But a lot of people feel like
you have to vote for your mayors, your council members.
This entire system is built. It's not just the police. The entire system is built against us. So why do I care about what happens in the system that I cannot change?
But that's a terrible mentality, though.
It is a terrible mentality.
If you install people,
they have nothing else to go by.
If you install people in those, if you help install the right people, those changes can happen. But if you guys don't vote, you're gonna let other people dictate your life. And who votes? Who are the people who predominantly vote? Older white people and older people in general are the ones who vote.
It's hard to get people.
So they maintain shit.
But it's hard to get people to want to be a part of a system that hates them. So like a lot of politicians, like, they grow up in political families. Black people don't have a lot of political families, and I don't even know how you would begin to explain to a child that a system is built against him and still try to get that child to be a part of this very same system.
Look, man, that's the point of this movement, man. And if this movement doesn't capitalize on the power they currently have and the bandwidth they currently have and the people who are supporting it, nothing's gonna ever get done.
But even what you're talking about movement, would be, it would take generations before we see effective change.
It's not something that's gonna happen right now. But this movement needs to keep on going and has to keep insisting on those changes and keep insisting on black people to go out there to vote, on young people to go out there and vote. Because if that doesn't happen, shit's always gonna be the same. They're gonna have to start like, my biggest thing at this point with this whole movement, I love how it's catching on more, how people are behind it more, and how they're focusing on the issues that are affecting, you know, the black community, right? I feel at this point in time, hopefully in the next week or so, the movement needs to move away from the man to be focusing on the issues. You know, unfortunately, George Floyd is dead, and we can't do shit about that. But we can do something about the people who are still alive, like, and the black people who are going to be affected by stuff in the future, like you, Orlando, all these, like, you guys are more important than George, to be honest with you. And if the movement doesn't move away from the man, but you have to keep him in memory among everybody fucking else who has fucking died in police hands. If it doesn't move away from the man, it's gonna get lost again, like has all time and time again. If the movement doesn't stay away from the man and keep him in memoriam, but not focus on him and focus on the issues that really matter, nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna die down again. And I think right now, I feel like this time around, people will probably realize that or haven't realized that, but I feel like they're focusing a lot more on the issues that are happening, right? The issues are more prevalent, I feel now.
Exactly.
But you have to, but at some point next week or something, I don't know when, but you have to move away from the man. You can't mention the man anymore and just slowly focus on the issues. I don't
think it's possible. You can't talk about this current version of the movement and how it started, not be a part of that. At this point, he's always going to be a part of the movement moving forward. But I do think that's just like
everybody else has always been part of the movement. Like, I think all those people who have died have always been part of the movement. Yeah. And you're doing things in the memory of this person. But at some point, you have to put all your effort into making these issues a reality and changing these issues.
He can never be fully detached from the movement at this stage, but I think he's always going to be at least a big part of it, at least until we see what happens with the cops.
Right.
Until he actually gets justice, he can never be detached from the movement.
Well, look, man, these cops, dude, the guy who killed George Floyd, he either goes down with manslaughter or one of those murder charges, and if none of those fail, you could easily get him with voter fraud, and that's a federal offense because he did voter fraud.
No, that
it came out. Oh yeah, he voted in Orlando.
Florida, yeah.
He voted in Orlando 2 years in a row. I mean, 2 times, 2006 and 16 and 18. So, and he lives in Minneapolis. He has no right, even though he has a house in Florida, he doesn't live in Florida in order to claim residency in order to vote for that election. So that is automatically voter fraud, and that's a federal offense, and that's a proven offense. Like, I know we have video of him killing George, but if that doesn't work for some reason, it doesn't work because I feel like historically the past motherfuckers who've killed people haven't served time, or I don't know the history. I don't remember it.
Get off.
But they get off.
It is true, but this spotlight is bigger than all the other ones so far.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been getting bigger and bigger.
If
that's what I'm saying. But like, if worst case scenario, if it doesn't happen with that, you could get him on voter fraud, and that is a federal offense, and he goes to federal prison.
Yo, if you
know
guys,
what I'm saying? So it's kind of like,
if you guys think these protests are bad or rioting and looting is bad, if they get off, the world will be set on fire.
Oh hell, for sure, guaranteed. But I'm just saying, worst case scenario, you could have him on voter fraud, or you could jump that shit on top of all that stuff and
Like,
lock
yo,
him
like-
up for a long
If
time.
he's
Like-
not charged for the murder,
Yo,
Do you know what the crazy
second
thing
degree
about,
murder, then it's over.
The crazy thing about this case is when they pick jurors, you're supposed to pick jurors that have not, that don't have
It's
a
impossible.
bias towards it. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Something this big high case. Who hasn't seen the video? Who hasn't picked a stance? That I don't even know what's gonna happen with that.
So
Everybody has a stance.
So I've been part of a jury selection this year. I think it was last year or this year. No, last year, not this year. Last year. This year doesn't exist. Last year I was part of a jury selection. And it didn't go to trial. I guess they settled it out trial. The case involved like drunk driving or something, and the
Guilty.
prosecutor and defense were there, and they literally have it like mapped out of like, so there's something called a for prosecutor and defense, I believe you have 5 strikes, meaning you can like dismiss like 5 juries just on for any reason, but it can't be based on race. There's a famous case like there's a law called the Batten Law. You can't dismiss on race because a black guy was tried and then he noticed all the black jurors were crossed out. So whatever. And I remember getting asked questions, and then like the prosecutors like right next to me, they were writing down like what I was like, kind of like just notes, because they know where we're sitting at, and they have like a chart of like who said what, where they're sitting, and so like. Yeah, like that jury selection must be so crazy. I mean, honestly, at this point, like I said, like the world would burn if that guy does not go to jail. That like if I was like a judge, I'd be like, fuck it, no jury, just send him to jail. Like I don't want this place to get fucked up. Just send him to jail. But that's not gonna happen, obviously.
The best thing he could do at this point is do a plea deal. He should.
Yeah, that's honest. That is the best he can do. Admit guilt, put guilty, and then
the plea deal will be manslaughter. He won't get you won't plea deal for murder. You plea deal for manslaughter, and that's still going to get people furious. It's still going to be the same.
Well, they would have to offer him a plea deal for manslaughter, and I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would go for that.
Yeah,
and if that gets leaked, oh boy,
the other cops might get away. But I'm
almost positive they're gonna get away.
He has to go to jail.
He needs to go down for something.
Right.
That'd be crazy if they get him for the voters fraud, though. I'd be like,
it's not gonna be enough because they let him off for murdering somebody again.
You're right, because the purpose is that Black Lives Matter, and if he gets off for the Black life, that just totally
destroys it. I get him for voter fraud and not for
It's like, I'm sorry,
you're right.
That Black life didn't really count for this time, but
at least we got him. Nah,
we got him in Orlando. Yeah, that's true. That's just
not gonna work.
Yeah, it's intense, man. Like it's crazy. Like I think when it comes to like, it's funny because there was this whole thing of with the Black Lives Matter movement now going on, and I was like talking to someone about it, like talking to people who are all lives matter or I don't see color kind of people. At this point, like, I don't want to talk to anyone that has that mindset.
Yeah.
So,
so remember how I told you earlier that we did an episode about that? Orlando, I don't know if you remember this. We had the argument back and forth where you were saying, why aren't more people Black Lives Matter? And I said that it had to do with that people felt like they couldn't be part of it because they weren't black. And remember, that's when I was talking about it. I was saying, it should be all lives matter. And we had an argument. I remember this.
Okay.
And was it you? Because I could have sworn because I was going to mention this, that I had that deep conversation with Orlando about all lives matter.
So I was in the middle, but I ended up leaning more towards Armando's side. So I was part of the problem, obviously.
Yeah.
That was old me. Full disclosure. So
when did this happen? You ain't cussed them niggas out?
This was
3 or 4 years ago.
Matter, nigga.
This is a long time ago. Yeah. I was part of that group. So now I read those. I read those comments like Orlando's saying, and I'm just like, man, I was a fucking moron. Like, cause the reason why I thought of that back then was because it's like, I can't be part of it because I'm not black. But if you say all, I can jump in it, and it was obviously stupidity.
We talked about this because we talked about it in the sense of branding. In
Branding, yes.
We talked about it in terms of branding that Black Lives Matter feels exclusive. And then I agreed.
It feels exclusive. Exactly.
I agreed that like yes,
Nah.
the branding sounds off, but you need to look at the message that the branding.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
and that's essentially why people keep saying all lives matter, because they're like, oh, but what about me?
I don't
Like,
think that has anything to do with branding.
I think a little bit does. I think a little bit does.
Maybe a
I
little
think-
bit, but for the most part,
Well,
it's just that people seem to think that Black Lives Matter means that black people are prioritizing black lives above all other lives, which isn't what it's about.
Well,
Right.
Let's keep in mind that when we were talking about this, I said the whole point of the movement started because police people weren't getting arrested for the killing of the
Trayvon.
Ferguson one, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, it
So
was Ferguson.
that's-
Yes, it was the.
That's the
Ferguson.
reason why it was called Black Lives Matter. Like, oh, he matters. Like, his life matters. This black guy's life matters,
Right,
and that's
right.
the reason why it was called Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was in the camp when we having a discussion of all lives matter, because I felt like everybody who could get affected by whatever's like all the shit that's happening, right? So
Right.
I
now
hate niggas. I swear I
after
hate
years.
people.
Yo, Mike is quitting. Mike is like, yo, fuck this podcast. Fuck
Fuck
on
this,
niggas.
guys.
We out.
So
Mike, I want to say
Mike-
that wasn't one of those black people that were all lives matter. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to throw it out
Yeah.
there. That, I'm with you. Always,
yeah,
I always been with you.
So now when with all this is happening, I come to realize that's not the position that should be taken, right? It's not
Branding shouldn't
It's
fucking
irrelevant.
matter.
it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening right now and to the black community. What happened, that is the point of it, and what matters at this moment in time is what's happening to the black community, especially this guy who just fucking got killed unnecessarily and pointlessly. And back then, I don't think I saw that. So, because in my head, I was just like, man, it needs to encompass more people, so more people could join, so more people could be participating in this, so more people could,
But the thing is, you're
I
make this
allowed.
go further.
I understand that.
But the thing is that's not the point anymore. Like, that's when when I think back on it, and I hear people talking about all lives matter, I'm like that's, and I've had this discussion with a few people. I'm just like, that's not the fucking point of this, dude. The point of it is that black people are most likely will be affected by cops than anybody else.
Right.
Like, if I get pulled over, yeah, if I have a racist person, something could happen to me, but it is highly more likely for it to happen to a black person than it would ever be to me, or an Asian person, or maybe an Indian guy. Maybe, I don't know. A Middle Easterner, I don't know. Maybe
Nah, nigga, not in America.
Maybe back in 9/11 time, but regardless of what it is, it will most likely happen more to a black person, and that is the issue. Like, that should not happen. Like,
Yep.
nobody should
Exactly.
be affected more by a cop than anybody else.
Yeah.
So that is the point of what's happening right now. And on top of that, the message is also we need to limit police brutality and police excessive force and help the community, essentially, of black communities not to be affected that heavily by the police
Yeah.
and the excessive force. So that is the whole point of this. And if you agree, you don't and I think it's a selfish thinking at this point. It's a selfish thinking that, oh, it needs to be all lives matter for me to care about it. I'm like, no, dude, it doesn't fucking matter the name. And Orlando was telling me that, like, it doesn't matter the name. What matters is
Good job,
what
Orlando.
they stand for.
Because that's the thing.
You're exactly right, Orlando.
When we were
You're
talking
exactly
about
right.
it was a branding issue that they kept arguing about, and I'm like, it's, you guys are allowed to join the Black Lives Matter movement. It's just
Right.
But it was a,
Yep.
like I said, it's a branding issue that some people feel excluded out of it, and you're not excluded out of it. It's just literally like, tell me that in this instance I matter, like, because
Yeah, because it's about the black community. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
let them have their moment. Let them have their stuff. And I think people don't realize that. Like, they think, oh, but all of that matters. I'm like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. They're having their moment. They're puzzling about thing. You don't say that to when people talk about gay rights. You don't say, oh, all lives matter doing gay rights. Like, no, like, all people have rights. Like, no, the point is gay people are fighting for their rights, and just have them have their moment. Let them have their time. You don't go out there saying, everyone's rights matters. Like, no, dude, like that's not the fucking point of what they're protesting about.
Especially
and I think it consistently just keeps happening, right? Like people, when Black Lives Matter keeps bringing up, like, but it's not fucking about you. It's about black people protesting about their stuff. You don't do that for other people, so why are you keep continuing doing it with black people?
It's just it's a pattern with the black community. When if they ask for something, then someone else says, "Hey, but what about these people?" If Kaepernick protest, yeah, I completely combined his first and last name. If Kaepernick protests, what the fuck, nigga? You don't respect the flag? It's always diverting the message to become something else.
You're not for the troops. It's like, but I'm protesting.
And the thing is, a troop told him that's how you should protest. A troop, because he was like, oh, should I do it like this? And the troop was like, no, don't do that. Like, or he think, oh, no, say sit down. And he was like, honestly, don't do that. The most respectful way that you could pay tribute to the flag is, if you don't want to do this, is kneel. That's the most respectful way. A fucking soldier told him, like, yo, this is how you should protest if you're gonna protest this.
Because a kneel still is a form of, like,
it's a respect.
Like it still is a form of respect. It's just not, oh my god, you didn't touch your heart, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
and I think again, it's fodder for distraction, right? Yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
the All Lives Matter thing is just distraction from the whole point of why the black people are protesting. So instead of and I keep telling people who are
it's a smoke screen for the issue.
Yeah, I'm like, but doesn't it? I kept saying it doesn't fucking matter what the thing is called. Is what they're protesting about is what matters. It's like if you're about that, if you agree with the black people need help in when they're dealing with police and all that stuff, if you agree with that police need to be held accountable, if you believe in those things, like then you are for Black Lives Matter. It doesn't fucking matter the name. Right. The name doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But the problems and issues that it is about is what you should be worried about and concerned about, not the fucking name. The name is nothing.
Right.
It's irrelevant.
Exactly. And I think in this sense there was a thing where like, police are killing black people. Oh, like, boy, they kill everybody. Like, shouldn't that be a problem then? Like, shouldn't you be like, yeah, that's fucked up. Like, that's it. Like, right there, like, if you have a problem with this is the movement that we are tackling that. Like, so there was I saw like a Facebook thread of someone complaining that like there was a looter, like two black guys killed this retired police officer. And they were just like, basically the thread was like kind of like, oh, well, you see, the Black Lives Matter movement is like they're how can they actually say Black Lives Matter and then also kill this cop or whatever, this retired cop? And it's like a retired black cop, nonetheless. And it's like, those people don't stand with Black Lives Matter. Those people are just people who are looking for an opportunity to steal and rob.
Taking advantage.
Like, don't lump in lump in these two people with everybody else.
Yeah. So all black people are for Black Lives Matter too, which is crazy.
Right.
So the biggest argument that's on the flip side is like, oh, not all cops are bad. Why don't you treat that with the same fucking way as the protesters? That's the same exact argument you're saying.
True, but at the end of the day,
they don't see it that way.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, though, like the Black Lives Matter movement reprimanded them, like saying, like, hey, that's not us. We don't stand for violence. We're not with that. Like, like we never have. Anyone who's a part of the actual community doesn't do that. And so you have, like, essentially in the Black Lives Matter movement, the good cops reprimanding the bad cops. You don't have that in a policing society. So that's
the problem with police. They need held accountable.
They all got each other's back. They got this brotherhood. Like, oh, I got your back. Oh, you fucked up. Oh, it's all cool. We'll bury it in the rug. And it's like, what? No, man.
Yeah. And there was. I remember. I can't remember the case, but I remember there was one thing where there was a cop who tried to call out negative behavior, and then like there was I can't remember, but there was a moment where I think like they put a dead rat on his desk. Like I gotta look it up, but I don't remember the story. But it was like this cop was trying to do the right thing.
I'm not surprised.
And then cops were like, "Oh, fuck you!" And then basically, like he had to do like paperwork. He couldn't be a cop anymore, basically, or he had
to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're that person who's trying to call out other people, you most likely will be bullied out of the force.
Yeah, ostracized. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
And so to just
and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That's gang mentality, man.
Yeah. Police are gang essentially.
Yeah. And just to bring
when
it back
comes to each other, they're about that.
just to bring it back to the All Lives Matter movement, like, you guys have changed your perspective over the years, and that's great. But like at this point, like, it's been like 6 years, 7 years already that people have been saying this, and it's like, if people more intelligent than me, actors, philosophers, like fucking, like so many other people, like activists, can't convince you of like what this movement stands for. Like, you might not agree with the name, fine, whatever, but if you can't get behind this movement at this point, I can't talk to you. Like, I feel like I'm talking to a wall at this point, Like, if you two were just like, well, all lives matter, like, come on, dude, 6 years of this already, or 8 years of this, and you guys haven't changed your tune yet? Like,
it's just the wrong side of history, man. When you look at just everything, it's crazy.
So yeah, it's
I think it's just a selfish mentality.
Yeah.
The more when I hear people talking about it, it's just selfishness. Like
this is not
if
about you.
if you're not involved, then you can't help.
Yeah,
like,
if it's not about you, it shouldn't. No, it's
yeah. And I kept bringing up the point of, like, when gay are protesting for their rights, you don't say, oh, everyone's rights matters. I'm like, no, dude, it's gay people are protesting about their stuff.
Right,
and like
exactly.
when people are immigration, when they were protesting about the immigrants who were treated inhumanely, and people are protesting for that. You don't go there,
Yeah. And
I can't say all lives matter because technically speaking, but that's not the point of what they're protesting. It's not all lives matter. We're talking about immigrant lives who are being inhumanely treated. You don't go out there saying all lives matter. Well, you technically can, but that's not the point of the protest. The protest is we're trying to focus on the immigrants who are being inhumanely treated in the United States, and that's the point. So don't try to distract from all that.
Right. Entirely. Yeah. It's just. Yeah, I've literally have unfollowed. I've seen some Hispanic black people saying all lives matter. I haven't unfollowed that. I just, like, I literally just, like, if you're on that, like, tip, I can't be with you. Like, I can't stand by
at
you
all.
Like, it's just
it's a distraction tactic, dude, and it's trying to distract people from the points because they're so focused on the name, but they're not interested in understanding the stuff that are happening.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like
that,
and that's what it is about. That's the whole point of All Lives Matter, is just to distract from what's happening.
Right. It's
and anything else that comes out from that is just a distraction.
Yeah.
About if you talk about George's criminal history, again, it's a distraction. So, all right, fine, he was a criminal, but that's not the point of the whole thing. Is how he was killed in custody of a cop. That's the point. I don't give a fuck of what he must have been. He could have done horrible shit. Great, whatever. But the point is not that. Like, when he was in the custody of a cop, he got killed by a cop.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that is the point, not his history. He could have he could have done bad shit, and he did bad shit. But that's not the fucking point. And that's his distraction tactic. Like, the point was that when he was in the hands of a cop, he died, and he didn't have to, because he was already in the ground in handcuffs. He didn't have to die. He was already there. He was already in custody. So why would he die in custody of a cop? So that's the point. That and everything else is a distraction tactic. Is just to distract people from, like, oh man, yeah, he was bad. Who cares about that? Like, he deserved it, or any of the other bullshit that came out from that point that's being brought up.
Right.
And the other point, I guess, consistently brought up is black on black lives, right? How people kill black people, and that's another one. I like,
so stupid.
I'm like, cool, great. You know what? But fine, black people do kill black people, and that's another issue that needs to be dealt with.
But you
know what? Who does major killings? White people do mass shootings and kill hundreds of people, and that's not. And how are we gonna treat that? Like, it's just another distraction tactic from the whole thing.
But the thing is, when it comes to black on black crimes, essentially it's a myth. Like, because the thing is like, when you live in neighborhoods, majority of the time you are surrounded by your peers that are the same race, and no one is driving more than 5 miles to do a robbery. No, you fucking rob your fucking neighbor and you call it a day. Like, my neighbor got robbed, like, a house over to me, and she is convinced it's like these kids that live like 5 houses down. Like, crime constantly happens in your neighborhood by people you know, by the people, and the thing is also is like communities and the way redlining works, they keep black people in black communities.
Exactly.
And then it's a fear tactic that you've seen back then, where when black people started getting like equity and fucking money, and they started moving to the suburbs, white people left the suburbs. And then so what you want them to do? Like, you don't want to integrate, so you move, and then you're like, oh, but black on black, but you make this, you made us black on black.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point.
Yeah, and it's
That's
just
a really
like,
good one.
And when you look at just crime in general by race, white people, Hispanic people, or Hispanic not a race, but whatever, white people, black people, all that stuff, it's usually your people doing the crime against you, because you're not
it's like Spanish on Spanish crime, because they're my fucking neighbor.
Exactly. And logically, you're just not going to drive out your way to rob somebody. I'm not going to drive to fucking Royal Oaks.
It could happen, but the probabilities of that happening, you're gonna case out something that you already see every day.
Exactly. Like, you're not gonna, exactly. So you're just gonna do it in your neighborhood. So black on black crime is a thing that is constantly brought up, and it's annoying. And also the thing is that black on black crime does happen, sure, but there's a resolution to it. Like, if black people get robbed or whatever, there's a repercussion for that. Either the cops get involved, like someone goes to jail, or the community takes it up on their own hands. Like it happens all the time where you have beef with someone and in your neighborhood, and that shit doesn't go away. Like, you settle that shit. Like, there's a retribution for that shit. But when cops kill us, there is no retribution.
Nothing.
So like, black on black crime is a thing, but like that shit is handled some way or another, sadly. You know?
Yeah. That's true. And again, those are just points that are being brought up for distraction, right?
Yeah,
to distract the public from what needs to happen. It's just like the whole looting and what's that called?
The riots.
And the rioting. It's another distraction. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. How people are focusing on that, but like, that's not the point. Focus on the issue that these people are bringing up.
And I think when it comes to looting and rioting, I think it's hard, man, because it feels like that's the main focus now. And like, I understand it. Like, with 21 deaths, there's been 21 deaths for the looting and rioting. Like, people are dying, like, for this. Like, people are dying in peaceful ways. They're just being peaceful, and they're dying. People are dying in violent ways because they're looting and they're trying to riot. They're trying to steal people and stuff. Houses are being burned down. Like, black people, black small business owners are losing their business. You know, and like,
it's like the Rodney King riots.
It's a lot, dude. Like, I'm not for the violence of it. I'm just not. Like, I'm just not going to be. But, you know, I don't want the narrative to just be about that. You know?
It's a distraction, man.
It's a distraction. It's a distraction. Like,
you know, nobody agrees with the violence. The violence is terrible, and it shouldn't be happening. But it just so happens to people take advantage of this to do those things. Exactly. And that is the worst part. Right. And that people don't call out those things, like how people are taking advantage of this. Right. Because it doesn't happen any other time. But it does happen for this. Every single time this shit happens, it happens. And I'm just like, why don't you see a fucking pattern that people are taking advantage of this movement, of people going out there and protesting about this to start to do nefarious things,
right?
And it's not even the protesters who are doing it, it's just people taking advantage of the situation,
right? And there's just so many factors to it. Like I said, there's people who are literally like, you know, like, shit, like, I'm broke and this is my opportunity to fucking get a come up, and that is a whole another topic in terms of economic you know, oppression. Like, people who are doing that, if they felt like they didn't need all that stuff, I saw a photo of like these black guys trying to break into like a Target, and they're like trying to break into like the register, and there's like a white dude with like Lego, like a whole case of like Legos, like yo, if you did not.
There was
for whatever reason, if you felt good about your situation at home, you would not go out like, I'm gonna go get some of these Legos. Like,
there was the one that my wife was showing me, where the girl, the lady broke into the Cheesecake Factory and she just left with a cheesecake on her plate.
Damn.
I mean,
A Cheesecake
just-
Factory?
You just see her casually walking with a cheesecake, and they're like, "Oh, she's looting. I wonder where she got that from." Cheesecake Factory. She got it from.
there are some that are kind of stupid. Like clearly, you just saw like an opportunity to like feed yourself or like to get a toy or something. But there are people who are literally breaking things because they have no. This is like Christmas. This is the
Desperation.
only time, that they can have something, and that says a lot. That says a lot of like. It's like
Society.
when you're realizing like unemployment pays you more than being employed, and it's just like shit.
Yeah.
The society doesn't really give a fuck about you. Like you're getting paid minimum wage, but unemployment knows that like you need more to make money. It's like, and it kind of puts in perspective like shit. Like this whole system is fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about people who are for the movement and yet are looting and rioting, I don't agree with that point, because I think I feel it hurts the cause more than it helps it.
Right.
Because if you think about historically, you gotta think about historically though. We had back in the civil rights movement, you had Malcolm X, who was all about that shit. And then you had MLK, who was all about the peaceful shit.
Once Malcolm X got peaceful because he got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But they both got shot.
Fuck that peaceful shit.
Yeah, both
both of them got shot. So the
But
thing
there's
that
also
like,
there's also the reason why the Civil Rights Act even happened was 6 days after, I believe, and that was 6 days
'cause-
of full blown rioting. So it got shit done.
Right, I didn't get shit done, man.
you're absolutely right. But again, those movements have faces, right? All those movements had a face, and you know this movement doesn't have that face. So, but
This
regardless,
movement had it had a
who was the
peaceful
face?
Colin
Kaepernick Colin Kaepernick was the peaceful face.
Yeah, but where the fuck is he now, dude? Where is
Because
he now?
it didn't work. When Colin Kaepernick tried,
but
the
again,
NFL
but then
blackballed him.
Yeah, all right, I get that, but the point is the shit is happening now, and if he was the face, why isn't he out there now? Like, so maybe he is, maybe I haven't seen it. But
All I'm
I've
saying is
been
that the rioting
going through that
is
shit. It's
what made this more effective. Black Lives Matter has been a thing, and there hasn't been this much rioting, looting, and violence attached to it. As soon as you attach all the extra shit to it, now we have ears. Now the NFL says, you know what? We fucked up. We were sorry. Everyone's realizing they were sorry now that the money's being fucked up. Everyone's taking notice.
Yeah, that's
and I think the face, because like and black society hasn't really had a civil rights leader for like 50 years at this point.
No, what it has is martyrs, not leaders.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I think we have to. I think that's constantly one of the criticism for like Black Lives Matter, because like that's when like sometimes people are like, oh well, the looters are part of Black Lives Matter, the rioters are part of Black Lives Matter, because there really isn't someone's. There are leaders in Black Lives Matter movement, but they're not as famous as Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
So what you're saying is it needs a leader to denounce.
I don't think so.
I don't think it needs a leader.
I don't think it needs leaders anymore. I think that whole idea.
I just think it needs focus.
I think that like black people, individual black people themselves are leaders at one point or another. Like I think the fact that we are coming together as a movement, we are leaders
across all countries. Yeah.
I think it doesn't need a face. Like that criticism of like it having a face is like it devalues us. It devalues us again because we're I agree. Because you needed someone to champion you. Like why?
And
like,
and the danger of it having a face is that face is the target, and then if they're gone, then what?
Exactly. Yeah. And so like it's like why? Like we gave you faces, like you said, like you shot them. So it's just like
it's true.
It's like think Obama was a face of, if you think about it, for like Black America, and the many death threats that he got. Like come on, like it's just like we gave you faces, and all like people do is spit on them, and at the end of the day I think individuals are leaders like in their own right, and I think like us coming together, unifying more than ever, like
that's more powerful.
Like like before, you had a leader and he was like
but it was necessary for that time. We're in different times. People have to think about how different times we are. Also,
the problem with having a leader too is one person is human. They have flaws, and if there's a leader, they're gonna dig up all kinds of bullshit on them, whoever they may be.
Right. I think for the most part, change will happen. I think in general, like the movement, I think I agree with Mike. The movement won't move past George Floyd until the people responsible for his death are held accountable. And I think it's what we do after that. I feel like it's a similar thing of like it feels like change is imminent. It feels like this is different. It feels like something might come to this. We just have to keep pushing putting the pedal to the gas and make sure like we continue to push that movement. Like I don't think racism is gonna go away. I don't think that cops are gonna be less racist or something. But my hope is that there are systems you get held accountable. There are systems in place that regardless of what your ideology is, being racist or not, you won't do something because you are aware of the consequences. So like I saw already that they're trying to pass a bill in New York that was like the Amy Cooper bill. That like
I was reading that.
If you call the cops based on race and you're lying, you get charged with a hate crime. And I'm not sure what the charges is or what the fee is, but that's exactly what I want to see.
I believe a hate crime is federal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. 'Cause that sounds pretty rough. But that's exactly what I want to see. Because at the end of the day, if you're a racist and you do something like that, think about the Amy Cooper thing. If there's like a federal law that says you be charged for hate crime, if you call the cops and you make false accusations, regardless of what you think, racist or not, you won't think twice, and you possibly wouldn't do it because you're aware. And if we have a history of charging these people, you won't commit that because oh shit, if I call this cops, I'm recorded, there's witnesses, there are people here, there's a video camera here, everyone's gonna know that I lied. I'm not gonna fuck it. I'm gonna just swallow my racism for today and go home.
Yeah, it's like those times where cops were called for what's this shit called? Those two black guys that were at a Starbucks and like somebody called the cops on them
just because they were at a Starbucks,
because they were just
and Starbucks like Starbucks called the cops because they wanted to use the bathroom.
Yeah, Starbucks called the cops on them.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, some shit like that, and then and that should be a hate crime, like only because they're black. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that those are definitely should be crimes.
I mean, I understand the intent, but it's hard. It's hard to prove why someone called the cops. It's hard. It would be hard to prove intent on that one.
Well, that one is intent though, because you're saying these black guys, are creating a ruckus. I'm like, why do you have to bring it up like that?
Well, on that specific situation, I don't remember if they specifically. I mean, I know it was based on race, but I don't know if they specifically reported it because of race. I would assume, first of all, that Amy lady was just dumb as hell. I would assume most people don't specifically mention, hey, I'm calling because there's an African American.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but I think, so it's funny that you said that because we were talking about jury selection and I mentioned the Batten law. Yeah. Where you can strike jurors, but you can't strike them based on race. So in law school, they were actually teaching lawyers how to do it. So they were saying, like, when you have your sheet of paper and you have everyone marked whatever, put like a B next to their name because you don't have a face when you go home. So then you know who you want to strike. Like they were doing, and then when cause the judge asks you, why do you think that this person cannot be part of the jury selection? And you have to say why. Like, oh well, his cousin was a cop, or oh well, he works like 5 miles away from where the guy worked. He might have met him, Yeah. So they found ways. Yeah, they found ways to get over it. Yeah, but I think when it's clear cut that this shit is you're committing a crime, I think, and there's history of it. I think it will give people, especially racist people, that little message like, "Ooh, I shouldn't do this." Like the cop who killed George Floyd, in a moment, he had his hands in his pocket, like nonchalantly had his hands in the pocket. Dude, when I'm at work,
as the knee was down.
Yes, like he just was just chilling, like
Yeah,
yo,
he looked pretty relaxed.
Do you know what it is to have your hands in your pocket at work? Like I used to work at a warehouse, and if my hands in my pocket, my boss be like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing." Obviously, like you have to be so relaxed to have your hands in your pocket at work. You know, it's like if you were at work right now chewing gum, hands in your pocket.
Right.
Like you have no.
Yeah, you're not doing shit.
Fucking asshole.
You have no fucks. Like no fucks. That's
You're not doing anything.
the thing that mentally he knows. Like I'm good. Oh, I'm just chilling. Just my knees on this dude's neck. I'm cool. Mentally, there was never a connection of like, oh shit, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, and that's the problem. Like it's not the racism that bothered me. It's the confidence that he has inside his head.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm nothing. This is fine. Nothing is gonna happen to me.
Yeah, I'm doing the right thing here.
If there was a historical lineage of cops getting arrested and charged with murder for killing people, then he will think twice of that, and that's all I want.
Yeah.
And I said, like, yes, I want to stop racist cops from doing that, but regardless of race, I just want to be like, even if a white guy was under him, whatever, like the fact that you committed this crime, and you're just thinking, you're just chilling, that's insane. You know how chill you have to be to take a life like that? Like, yeah. I'll be fine. Nothing's gonna happen to me. My boys are here. We're just having a good time. It's Friday night. Like that's what bothers me. That there's nothing turning in his head that thinks, oh wait, this is not good. And
yeah,
none
you're
of the
100%
cops,
right.
None of the cops are just like, the cops are like, we're just gonna turn away. That's the shit that's scary because they know that I'm good. Like not the Amy Cooper who called the cops, she knew what the fuck she was doing. She was like, oh, there's an African American person here and he's harassing me. Those are fucking shoot this motherfucker words.
She pretty much tried to hire a hitman.
The fact that you know that, the fact that your mind can do that consciously or subconsciously, there's a problem. That's the issue. I don't, and that's why I'm saying, like, I don't care to talk to the all lives matter people, the I don't see colored people, or the racist people. I don't give a fuck anymore. I want the system to change, that regardless of how you think, you are held accountable for shit like this. That's it. It's pretty simple.
You're absolutely right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
Alright, guys.
Nah. Yeah, I got it for me.
No, but you're absolutely right. Like, these people need to be held accountable. And those things can never happen. And people who let that happen shouldn't happen either.
Exactly.
Like, those cops, if they saw him with the knee there, I'm like, yo, take your knee off. He's fine.
Right, exactly. That's
here.
how.
Like, that's all. Like, you don't need to say anything more or anything less.
Yeah, which is interesting. There was a video during, I don't know if you guys saw it, was during the riots as well. When they were taking down some of the people, the guy put the knee to the neck of this white guy. And he's screaming, there's a knee on my neck, knee on my neck. And another cop went real quick and, like, took the guy's knee off. But obviously this was way after the whole George Floyd thing, so it's
I haven't seen that one.
I saw one. Also, it was a white dude, but still, the fact that someone went,
It was a
shit,
white man. Get the fuck out. No wonder.
yeah, yeah.
Trying to save his brother.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, it's not the same, but the fact that that's the fear. It's like, oh shit, there's cameras on me, and this dude's got his knee on, and I'm right next to him. Pop the knee off. It's the fear that stopped that.
Like, on our Instagram, I highlighted it in our Instagram. There was a post of like different easy laws that every county can make to make cops be held accountable, and there are like 6 or 7 of them that are like legit that people could make happen, you know. And one of those was like body cam. Like if a cop has a body cam off, he should automatically be like suspended or fired. Like a fireable
they also
offense.
cover them a lot
like,
too.
Yeah, so like what's the fucking point of you having a body cam is that whenever something happens, you could easily turn it off. Like you should never be able to do that. If you have a body cam, I want to see your entire
Exactly.
shift.
And then I think
And-
also even like when it goes to court, I think that there are some cases that like the defense can look at the body cam footage beforehand, and that the prosecutor can't. And it's like, what the fuck? Like what? Like it's
Yeah.
just like
Like if there's something, if something like, right, let's just say this George Floyd situation, right? There was a body cam active in that moment in time, and something went down like this. That body cam, that footage of that incident from the beginning to the end should be public. Because criminal records are public. I can see somebody's like criminal activity, and I can see somebody's history and shit like that. I don't want to see your entire shift. I'm talking about just that instant in time that crime was committed should be a public record, so people could see what
I've noticed
happened.
in the past the police have released them, but they only release them when they know for sure.
The only release was
yes,
convenient.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
David. Yeah,
But that should be a public record. That instance in time of you did some shit should be a public record. And people should be able to see what you did. And everyone should be able to see what you did. So you could be held accountable for that. You are a public worker. Anything that in the government
That is kind of
that
true
is-
because whenever local government goes into meetings and shit, all that's like filmed,
That's
and if you
public
can
record.
see all of it, even when they're
Yeah.
talking shit,
And you
where
can
they're
hear it.
yawning and they're like, "When do we get out of here? When do we got to
It's
lunch?"
still on there.
You could hear and see all of that. That's so you do
It's
have a
all
point. The only
public
thing
record.
is, I'm sure there will be arguments where there will be shootings or whatever, and there will be some type of gore or blood or whatever. I'm sure there will be an argument for that. But I do agree with you. That all should be public.
But you put a disclaimer saying that this is, highly
Right,
something, whatever.
disturbing, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but the thing is that you are a public servant and you're there to serve the
And
public.
we need to see what you're doing because we
Those fr-
elect the people. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to see your entire shift, but but the instance in time where there's a crime committed, that should be a public
definitely
record.
record.
You should be able to see it.
Imagine,
You should see it. Everyone
imagine
should be able
going
see
to
it.
work and just turning the cameras off in your area. Niggas gonna be like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck are
that's
you
insane.
doing? That's crazy."
I think in every other job, dude, that would be insane. Like, no, just
Nah, y'all can't see me
insane.
today, nigga. Turn this shit back on.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like the drivers where they have the GPS so they know where you're at all times. You just go, let me turn this off for an hour. Driver's gonna be, where the fuck
right.
did you go? You were supposed to deliver this an hour ago. What'd you do?
I was on shift, man. Don't worry.
And you'll
I
get fired
was
for
doing my
that.
job.
Like, what? Yeah, you'll get fired. And you instantly get fired for that blind spot. Like, why were you missing? Why we don't have a record of you for an hour? Fired, because you should never be able to turn that off. We need that. And there's jobs that even if you veer slightly off your GPS course, you get fired. So it's kind of like, why are still cops not held accountable for this
I
shit?
think
The complaints. If somebody puts complaints on you, that shit needs to be investigated, looked into. And if you have more than a certain amount of complaints, you should be fired.
I think it's a lot of things, dude, when it comes to why cops are not fired. Like, it's just this whole fucking circle jerk of, like, the district attorney,
Yeah.
the unions, the prosecutors, and they all fucking need each other. Like, the fucking unions, they back up the district attorney, pay them money for re-elections. The prosecutors need cops for other cases that doesn't involve them. So it's like, prosecutors and cops work hand in hand. So, like, a cop that's arrested, the prosecutor who tries him probably knows him. Like, they probably have worked on cases together.
They went to
So it's like-
barbecues together, all kinds of shit.
Maybe, yeah. But it's like, at the end of the day, like, if I need you as a witness and I fucking tried one of your boys, you probably won't be my witness. If I put Mike in jail, would you guys come on the podcast? Like, basically, like, that's basically kind of how it works. Like, they're too intertwined. It's just so many fucking
Yeah.
layers to
Nigga,
fight
why
cops
I'm in
to-
jail? What the fuck? I'm still stuck on that.
Yeah, he just heard Mike is in jail.
I
What?
wish I would have seen your face. Like,
Why did you
fuck?
pick
Yeah.
Mike out of all of us? But yeah, it's too. There's just so much going on, dude. That I hope that the laws change and things get better. But it just seems like a tangled web of shit.
Yeah.
But you know what it comes down to is, are people gonna fucking vote for your local elections? Are you gonna make sure and hold politicians accountable for making shit happen? And if you don't make shit happen, we're voting.
That was one of the
out.
big conspiracies when they did the Blackout Tuesday. That it was during one of the local elections, and it was the whole Black Lives Matter hashtag got used for that, and it covered up everything that people were talking about the local elections. So there's a huge conspiracy about it, that it was like shanghaied to like have people not go and vote. So I remember hearing about that.
And it's dangerous, dude, because what affects you the most is all the local stuff. Because that's where you live, and that's where you spend most of your time. So people need to go out there and start voting. And people need to start looking into their local stuff and making sure these local politicians do what they need to do to make shit happen. And people need to get more involved. Young people, black people need to get involved. And if you truly believe in this movement, then you need to involve yourself in all these things. And the movement needs to involve themselves in all these things. The movement needs to champion people who are going to be working for things to change. And if they're not making those changes happen, the movement needs to be able to tell people like, yo, this motherfucker is not working. Let's get him out. And I think that's what I feel the movement needs to become, is educating the public, especially the black community, about what's happening in their communities. And I feel like that's what the Black Lives Matter movement should and needs to become. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of black people don't know what the fuck is happening in their communities. Young people don't know what the fuck is happening in their communities. So the only way that's going to happen is if people are highlighting those issues, highlighting those politicians who are not doing shit, who are not taking care of things or not handling things, and who are promising stuff and don't get anything done. Those people need to get voted out. People who have been in office for so long need to get voted out. And just perfect example, here in Florida, we had Rick Scott as our governor for 8 years. He was terrible and the most shittiest governor ever. How the fuck did that guy win a Senate seat?
Exactly. Well, because he has his people around.
Why? Yeah, but no one voted. No one went out and voted against him, and he won.
Well, he won
easily,
because Florida's a red state.
Yeah, but regardless of what it is, no one's holding him accountable, and no one is out there helping the person who's running against him, or having a candidate that's good enough to run against him, and supporting that person to take them out, or the community itself, or is not voting to not allow him to win. Like these are a lot of circumstances that need to happen for someone to win. Doing nothing. If nothing's
I
happening,
think you hit a good note of like, you know, no one's holding him accountable, regardless of like his regardless of what party he's aligned with. Like I saw a post of like a lot what have happened in Minnesota. Minnesota has like a Democratic mayor, Democratic governor, and all this Democratic, which is more leaning left, more. You think more civil rights in terms of like being, and this happened in pretty much a like a blue, I guess, area, and still like that wasn't it. It's like you just have to be aware of like the person you're hiring to do the job regardless of party.
Agree.
And like we've seen it like for example like fucking like in 2012 when Obama was running again and Mitt Romney was his like pretty much his opponent. He just got obviously he got dragged for being Republican. He had some different views, but I knew from the get-go, like, Mitt Romney doesn't seem like a bad guy, though. Like, yeah, I might not agree with him from, like, for, like, everything. But he doesn't seem like a bad guy. And then time and time again, like, when Trump ran, he's like, yo, fuck Trump. When the Black Lives, this shit's going down, he's, like, there with the Black Lives Matter movement. Clearly, like, we might not have agreed with him, like, in the sense of, like, majority, like, policy-wise. But so far from what he has shown, has been a man of, like,
Dude, at this point in time, you would prefer Mitt Romney over
Of
Anybody.
course. But what I'm saying is like.
Like, I would prefer McCain, who ran against Obama in the first time, over fucking Trump.
What I'm saying is
it's like I would prefer Bush again rather than Trump.
We're seeing someone who has a good sense of character and like who probably wouldn't have been bad for the country. You know,
It seems like they have a sense of responsibility too. It's just
right, exactly. And so like you see that, and so it's like that, like you know, I voted for Bernie in this primary. This is not the primary, right?
Yeah, the general, the
So
stuff
I
he
voted
has
for Bernie,
primaries.
and like at the end of the day, yeah, Bernie's policies might be a little bit wacky and a little bit out there, but I voted for him in the sense of like this dude has been championing the same fucking message for fucking 40 years or whatever the case may be. Like it doesn't get as consistent as this, you know. And so like I want people that are in office that understand these issues or understand these civil rights issues, these economical issues, these injustices, and I want people to at least
you want people that are passionate about a stance and not flip flopping, so that once they get into office,
right.
they just go with the wave and they do zero change one way or another.
Right. And regardless of what their political view is, like that's what fucks us up as a society. This fucking red blue shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's like you can't do that. That's not red. You got to be in our
Right.
team, and it's like no.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And at this point, it's election year too, so people are taking advantage of everything. So you have the Democrats taking advantage of this Black Lives
That's
movement,
one of the things.
and then you have the Republicans take distracting from the movement to get their side. So it's kind of like everyone's taking advantage of this. Who's honestly
it's
for
unfortunate that I don't even know how to say it's just it's unfortunate that this is happening during an election year because there's a lot of fakers out there right now just for the sake of the fucking politics, but it's got to happen one way or another. What I hope is that after this election year this continues just as strong. That's the key.
Yeah, for sure. And again, when you're talking about, you know, now we're going for presidency and stuff like that, and people always talking shit of getting Trump out of the office. I'm like, are you gonna galvanize people to get him out of the office, or are you gonna let, you know, the secret Trump supporters, the closeted Trump supporters, vote him in again? So, and I hate when people talk about. At this point, you have to vote for the lesser of two evils, right? And the same thing as when Hillary was running for office. They're like, yeah, she's fucking terrible, but she would have been better than Trump. And we're upon that again this year of choosing the lesser between the lesser two evil, being the greater two evil, whatever it's called. You have Biden, who's old as fuck, and he should have ran 4 years ago.
He doesn't even know what day it is,
and he doesn't know anything.
And he's racist.
And that's scary. So
he's a fucking idiot.
He's an idiot. Idiot. But again, do you prefer him or Trump? So it's choosing between the lesser two evils. Now the key here is for him is who is going to be his running mate, because that is going to be your president 2 years from now. So
he's not gonna. He's going to die.
The running mate?
My God,
the running mate is going to be the most important person.
So they were saying that Warren might be the running mate.
Look, he needs to be smart. He can't be stupid like Clinton was, who chose some random person no one ever fucking heard of. He needs to be smart in choosing someone that has name recognition. People like.
It looks like he's going to choose Warren. Like Warren seems to have backed them.
He should.
Warren seems to have backed them up. They agree on most policies, even though Warren took more of a Bernie Sanders kind of approach to some of the policies. But it's still and the thing is, he pledged that it was going to be a woman to be his VP. That's what he said. He pledged that it would be a woman to be.
It better be Warren.
To be a VP. And at this point, like I can't see anybody.
I remember that he got pressured into that though, if I'm not mistaken.
He got.
I don't give a fuck if he did, but he better. Okay, he needs to choose somebody with name recognition, someone that
at the end
pops.
of the day, though, I think regardless of like how dumb and how racist he has been in the past, for sure, and like that whole fucking "if you don't vote for me, you ain't black" line.
Oh my God.
Yo, like,
bro, what a fucking moron.
yo,
He's
I
an
can
idiot,
just
dude.
like what the fuck? Like that sounded so like fucking.
When I heard that, I thought, is this what it's come to? A choice between a moron and a bigger moron? Like, it's just like, yo, Dumb and Dumber. Like, whoa, what is this? It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, man. And so like, I think
and it's shit like this that lets people lose faith and go, why even vote? Which is the problem last time.
Yeah.
Why bother?
But that's the problem, though. And you know what
they
happens?
both suck. And then, but then the hardcore ones keep this guy in, and then that's it.
Yeah. And that's what allowed Trump to get into office. Especially the people who are like, oh, I don't like either one of them, so I'm going to vote for some fucking random.
What do they call it? Like Bernie or nothing or some shit?
Bernie or bust.
Bernie or bust.
Yeah, the independent candidate, those stupid guys. So it's kind of like, dude, at this point, it's...
Or even waste the vote on
you gotta
green.
choose
And you're like,
between-
why did you waste your vote on green? The fuck?
Exactly, you wasted it. So at this point, you have to choose, man. You have to choose, and either you choose Biden or you choose.
The thing
Trump.
about Biden at the end of the day is like he has, at the end of the day, it's all ego. All these people have egos, and like at the end of the day, Biden is in the shadow of Obama. He will always be in the shadow of Obama, regardless if he was VP or not. And he doesn't want that. He wants to be held as right next to Obama or not better. Every time he talks, he mentions Obama or like what he's done as VP. And so at the end of the day, like he will stride to be as good as Obama or better. And that's why I think he won't fuck up, because he knows.
And he also
that,
is a phone call away from Obama. That's the angel on the shoulder.
Right. I mean, Obama's gonna be like, "Yo, have you went to a doctor though? Like, you need to." But
hey Joe, you shouldn't have said that about the black people. You fucked up there, bud.
Yeah. At this point, man, shit needs to change. Shit needs to happen. People need to be held accountable, and we need to go out there and vote for our local community stuff.
Yeah.
That midterm elections are elections people ignore the most, and they're the most important because they are the ones that affect you every day. And I think, like I keep saying, I keep reiterating this: the movement needs to focus on those things. Focus on making sure the black community votes more, because there's a lot of power behind the black community, and a lot of them don't vote.
Right.
They feel disenfranchised. They feel all these things.
It's
but
one of those,
you need to start
It's one
somewhere.
of those things that Mike said. I think a lot of it has to do with like learned helplessness, and I think in general, like generation of generation, decade of decade of just being told that like your voice matters, but your life doesn't, is kind of contradictory. And
For sure.
so,
and that's why they need to put people in office who care
exactly
about.
who represent them, who might look like them, and then maybe like that will change the narrative. But it is a very difficult thing to hear, and so I think the black community has a hard time getting around that. But I agree. I think in general, like if you wanted to see the change, this is the only way Obama would have a nice, a good message about it, and we gotta get out there. We do need to get out there. We need to be more aware of like who we're voting for, and hopefully change is imminent. I really do think that like I don't know, man.
Because
Everything going on, I feel that like some good needs to come from this.
Yeah.
Like we don't let this guy's death be in vain. Like it'd be such a sad tragedy for him to be just another hashtag.
and everybody who died before him too. We can't continue to let them die in vain.
Exactly. Like this has to change. Like it's just man. Agreed.
Yeah, they need to go out there and vote, man. The black vote, the black community put Obama in the office by a landslide in 2016. And 4 years after that, they hardly came out to vote. So it's kind of like, it sucks. So black community has a lot of power.
Yeah.
They just need to start using it.
I agree.
And,
I definitely agree with that one. But I think it was also the first time it was more so, can we do
It was
this?
powerful.
Can we finally see like one of us in office? After that, it was less faith in the system and more wanting the moment to happen.
Right. And I think a lot of it too is like looking back at it, like at the time, it seemed like black people were a bit disappointed in Obama, you know, just a bit. But at the end of the day, like he had, yeah, you don't think
Niggas
so?
don't like Obama. Well, they love Obama, but no one feels. Well, the majority consensus is he didn't really do shit for us.
They like the idea of him, but not what he did.
But that's the thing, though. Like that's the thing. The minute we had one of our own in there, what happened? Nothing happened. You know, and like Obama was president when shit like this was popping off, and that's the sad thing. But that's the thing. It tells you more about the system and not the man. It tells you more of like if this man couldn't change it, this man who clearly is empathetic, who fucking said, yo, Trayvon could have been my son. If this man couldn't change it, that tells you more than like this is bigger than one man. This is bigger than one leader, and it's like you said, Amanda. We need to vote. Like we need to vote for offices. We need to make sure that people, you know, we can vote on bills too. Like that's the thing. Like not only do we vote on people in power, we vote on bills.
We vote on bills.
I remember seeing a vote about like allowing fucking criminals
ex-cons
on the vote. I voted for that. Like yeah. And it passed.
And Florida keeps fucking it over.
It passed, right? I believe it passed.
No, it passed, but Florida keeps fucking it over.
Huh, who did I vote for? Did I think they got the right to vote? I might have said no on that one.
Oh shit.
I put yes.
As long as it wasn't they said a rape or a murder, they could vote. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and so like
a non-violent offense.
Maybe it was non-violent offense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
nah, fuck
like,
that.
You know, like, so I think it's like a lot of we talked about. Yeah, like you know, young people and black people don't vote, and I think a lot of it is because like we don't see the change. And the man who promised change, literally in his campaign, who promised hope in his campaign, didn't do it. So like, what? So how? Like,
yeah,
you know, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to believe in that, but that doesn't mean we should stop trying. And so, I agree. I hope that things get better. I hope that people get out there and make sure their voices are heard. I hope more than ever that black people are supported in every way, because like more than ever, like black people
need to sound like an after-school special. Shut up. I hope that shit ain't gonna happen in our lifetime. The fuck.
We could start seeing the seeds of it, man. At least we could start pushing these people who have all this power for so long, who have never done anything, and we could
interrupting Orlando's speech. Come on, man. We can call it the I hope speech.
Fuck that speech, man.
I was just about to start clapping at the end.
Yo,
I'm like, what is going on right now? We the people, nigga, no.
Look, Mike. At this point, we are next in line to change things, and if we don't change anything, then it's just gonna keep on happening. So
then we gotta wait for Gen Z, the Zoomers.
And those motherfuckers don't care about anything, dude.
They eat
Tide
Pods.
All they care about is their social media.
I feel like that generation. I think it's a lot more than we realize. A lot more of them that care than we realize. It's just drowned out by a lot of the bullshit.
It's drowned out by TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they get distracted easily, dude, by the social medias. But yeah, we just gotta make sure that they care not only in social media but actually in person.
So guys, I think we should wrap this up with a final message on voting. So get out there and vote. Black
Voting.
Lives Matter.
Burn some shit down. Fuck a vote.
have the ballot in one hand and a torch in the other. Do both. Don't boo. Vote.
Don't boo. Vote. And I want to announce here on this very stage that I'm running for president in 2024. So, Caballero for president, just let y'all know.
You got my vote.
Run for a council. Let's start small, dude. Let's run for a council member.
How about just don't run?
The Florida House seat.
We said too much fucked up shit for me to run for anything.
Oh yeah, you gotta delete all the episodes.
Yeah, delete your social media and delete the podcast.
Man, if anyone runs for office, this podcast is officially deleted. We can delete everything here, man. All right.
You ain't got no
That about
final
wraps it
thoughts? Orlando, you don't have another speech to make?
Damn, Orlando, worst host ever, dude. The fuck?
What? Yeah.
The worst
Oh
host
yeah,
ever.
guys. Final thoughts. Mike.
Nah, I said it. Fuck the police. Fuck the system. Fuck all them racists. Who else I got to shout out? I think that's about it. Those are all my shout outs
Sounds
for
good.
this episode.
Perfect, man. There's no better way to
Pedro,
wrap it
Armando,
up.
any thoughts?
Nah, man. Mike
Mike
said
said it
everything.
all.
Alright,
Black
guys.
Lives Matter.
Black
Thank
Lives
you.
Matter. Go vote. Make your voice heard. See you guys next time.
Accountability, people. Accountability.
Alright, guys. So we'll catch you next time on another episode of Popcorn Heroes.
Bye bye.
Yeah, outro.
Later.
Later.